Many thanks for staying tuned to the People's Tele Ogtv Abeokuta. This is the main news. I am Mojesala Sholaja. You're most welcome. Tonight, Ogun State Government directs residents living around flood-prone areas to vacate. Joint Health Staff Union commences industrial action. Nigeria's revenue drops by 65%. Israel announced 3-week national lockdown to contain spread of COVID-19. Do not fear failure, but rather fear not trying, says Roy Bennett.
And on Sport News tonight, League On to launch investigation into NEMA racist abuse allegation. These and most sporting stories much later on the news. My name is Moses or Jeremy. Stay with us.
Once again, welcome to Ogtv Main News. Ogun State residents living around flood-prone areas have been advised to vacate the areas for the time being in order to escape the impending flood disaster as predicted by INEC. Honorable Abiodun Abudu Balogun, the Commissioner for Environment in the state, gave this advice while addressing the press following the warnings issued by Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Haja Sadiya Umar Farouk, to 34 states of the Federation, in which Ogun State is inclusive. Elizabeth Esson reports.
Over the weekend, Haja Sadiya Umar Farouk, Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, warned governments in 34 states of the Federation that are forecast to experience heavy rainfall and possible flooding in the last part of the year to ensure proactive measures are taken. Ogun State, which is one of the states, has been harnessing all resources to minimize the effect of flood in the state, and it promised to do more so that every citizen can sleep with their 2 eyes closed during the period of the rainfall. To drive home its efforts, the state government, through the Ministry of Environment at a press briefing, highlights some of the flood-prone areas in the states.
Some areas in Ogun State were mentioned as areas that are likely to be affected by the impending flood, arising from the fact that between now and October, it is predicted that the rains will come down heavily. And some local governments, about 4 of them, were mentioned to be very, very prone to flooding. The local governments are Abeokuta South, Ijebu East, E4, Ogun Waterside, among others.
Honorable Abiodun Abudu Balogun, Commissioner for Environment, notes that as part of measures to combat flooding in the state, canals in some of the flood-prone areas are being dredged.
From the July 4th incident, that torrential rain, the governor further directed that we should up our games. And that is why you see that ever since then, we have not rested on our oars. The Minister of Environment started a lot of dredging and opening up of our canals.
Residents around these areas are advised to relocate to a safe environment so that impending heavy rainfall is over.
Those living on the floodplain of Owa River, these are Owa, Ijagun. That Ijagun area is also highly problematic. Those living on floodplain of Ilo River and tributaries is Akale and Atuwara. We have the Oloshun, Ayetoro, Akeja and Owode area. For Yewa South, particularly around the Laro and Axis, those living on Sabo Stream through Bugidi Canal, they have to be on strong alert.
The commissioner said that the present administration in the state is responsive to the well-being of the citizenry, adding that this can only be achieved by providing their present needs at the expected time. Elizabeth Esson, Ogtv News.
Ogun State Government has trained public secondary school principals, vice principals, and other school managers on good leadership trait, as well as oriented them towards reopening of schools. Speaking at the opening of the 3-day pre-resumption education summit tagged Goodbye Yesterday, organized by the State Teaching Service Commission through Microsoft Teams, The Deputy Governor, Engineer Noimot Salako Oyedele, described the training as a remarkable and wonderful initiative that borders on human capacity development.
Now we're in a new phase where we are bringing many more students into school, bringing all the primary school students and about 4 additional streams in secondary schools. So we have to look at what we have on ground, how we can adapt that, and see how we can still continue to keep our students in education, in learning, and also keep them very safe.
The Special Advisor to the State Governor on Primary and Secondary Education, Mrs. Ronke Shiambo, underscoring the importance of the program, submitted that the training will go a long way at improving the skills of the principals and other school managers. Earlier in his welcome address, the Permanent Secretary-Designate, Ogun State Teaching Service Commission, TESCOM, Mr. Johnson Odeyemi, who appreciated state government for creating an enabling environment for effective teaching and learning, noted that secondary school leadership needs to be environment-friendly for effective teaching and other things, including methods of managing both human and material resources in schools. While delivering his lecture titled Leadership, Changing the Mindset and Values, the resource person, Mr. Rotimi Eyitayo, defined a leader as an individual who is able to inspire willing and conscious followership, saying the ultimate goal of a leader was to create and deliver desired change, as well as birth and raise leaders out of followers. Towards ensuring speedy justice dispensation and to bring justice closer to the people, the President of Ogun State Customary Court of Appeal, Honorable Justice Mobola Joju, has presented the Customary Court of Appeal Rules 2020 to members of the bar and public. Honorable Justice Ojo made the presentation with a charge to the bar and public to ensure judicious use of rules in accordance with set goals of the current administration in the state and the country at large.
The Customary Court of Appeal, it is my pleasure, together with my learned brother standing with me, to present this book to the public. Thank you.
That was the unveiling and presentation of Ogun State Customary Court of Appeal Rules 2020 to the bar members and public by the President, Customary Court of Appeal, Honorable Justice Mobolaji Ojo. In his remarks, Honorable Justice Mobolaji Ojo says since the inauguration of the CCA 4th of February 2020, the court had delivered 21 contested judgments and rules, adding that with the new rules in place, people of the state should expect better days in the area of justice dispensation.
What you can do, all these things, even if you cannot afford a lawyer, you have it in the rules. Provisions relating to virtual hearing, remote hearing, we have them in the rules. Everything that will aid the dispensation of justice, you have them in the rules. Before now, under the transitional arrangements, we were relying, counsel or lawyers were relying on High Court of Ogun State Civil Procedure rules, which is allowed. But now we have our own procedure, rules of procedure. That is the advantage of this launching we did today.
While reviewing Rules 2020, the State Chief Judge, Honorable Justice Mosumola Dikweolu, who was represented by Honorable Justice Abiodun Akiyemi, dwells extensively on order of the Customary Court of Appeal as she highlights the benefits of the rules.
The purpose of the constitutional guarantee for the fight to one preserve the right of the party to either appear in person or represent himself or by counsel of his choice before the courts. Because lawyers don't appear before customary courts not presided over by lawyers, except if they don't, I think, it is not unlikely that litigants who have appeared for themselves before customary courts may wish to continue to do so even on appeal to the CCA. This will preserve the right to do so, and is particularly necessary to avail parties who are unable to afford the fees of counsel.
The members of the bar lauded the current administration in the state for its support to the judiciary towards bringing justice closer to the people.
Capacity building program has been identified as veritable tool for keeping the legislative arm towards protecting the nation's democracy. Hence, lawmakers and career staff of the legislature must improve their knowledge on the processes and procedures required in lawmaking towards ensuring a vibrant legislative arm for national development. The Speaker, Ogun State House of Assembly, Right Honorable Olakunle Olomo, stated this in Ogiriremo at a capacity building workshop organized for members of the State House of Assembly. Kola Wole Osho's report is presented in this package.
Speaker, Ogun State House of Assembly, Right Honorable Olakunle Olomo, in his welcome address at the workshop, stresses the importance of training at enacting viable legislations by the 9th Legislature under its leadership, adding that such trainings alongside consultations and advocacy measures would be explored to ensure the successful takeoff of the financial autonomy granted to the State Legislature by President Muhammadu Buhari as contained in the Executive Order 10.
Training and capacity development program of the organization has really enhanced my performance as a person, as an legislator over the years. Similarly, I can attest to the fact that your training at the beginning of this 9th legislation has really helped our members in performance of their duties, which I remain grateful to that purpose.
The Speaker commended the organizers on behalf of other lawmakers across the nation, saying that the organization had consistently availed participants of highly beneficial skills at various fora, especially on legislative practices and procedures as obtainable across the world. In his remarks, Director General, National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies, NILDS, Professor Abubakar Sulaiman, points out that the state legislators must begin the process of building internal capacity within the Assembly, preparatory to full autonomy by understanding its implications on legislative administration and parliamentary business, as lawmakers and career officers needed to understand various roles and responsibilities that the autonomy seeks to put on them.
Full autonomy will put you all under intense scrutiny by the public. I therefore implore you all to put in place the needed internal structures, mechanisms, and invest in strengthening the capacity of members and staff in anticipation of full financial autonomy.
In his speech, the resident representative of Konrad Adenauer Stiftung, KAS, Dr. Vladimir Krek, said it was expected of the state legislature to play a more decisive role in the governance of the state, hence the need to orientate participants to be more proactive in exercising their duties for the promotion of good governance in Nigeria. The training program, which is expected to come to a close on Wednesday, 16th of September, is also expected to take the participants through various papers, including legislative agenda and benchmarking, the activities of the State House of Assembly, overview of legislative practices and procedure, financial autonomy of State Houses of Assembly, and LGAs in budget management processes, legislative code of conduct and ethics, amongst others.
Food preservation is one of the most important inseparable parts of human life. It has been practiced for centuries, with salting and smoking generally recognized as the earliest form of preservation, although the traditional methods do not guarantee its safety. But new methods, such as acidic conditioning, canning, freezing, and sealing, may be hazardous to human health. In this special report, Munyoluwa Ajayi examines the pros and cons of food preservatives. A report is presented from our studios.
Food is a basic necessity of human to provide energy and development, maintain life, and stimulate growth. Food preservation is important in increasing and enhancing the shelf life of food and ensuring food safety.
Food preservatives are substances added to food to prevent spoilage and increase the shelf life of food products. They can be chemical, biological, and biochemical substances.
Preservatives are substances that, when added to food, they prevent the spoilage and oxidation
We have natural preservatives and artificial preservatives.
To increase the shelf life of the food products, application of various methods such as drying, storage in vinegar, under acid condition, canning, freezing, dry salting, smoking, amongst others, can be used.
Preservatives are important because they prevent the spoilage, and by so doing, we can keep food for a long period of time. You can see food produced in Nigeria taken to Asia and it still has the same quality and taste. This is due to the preservatives.
Although the traditional methods of food preservation cannot guarantee its safety, but there is a growing interest using non-thermal processing methods for preservation of food products, which may be hazardous to the human health.
My advice to the food manufacturers: they must be able to follow the standard procedures provided by the food agencies. They must not lower their standard because of the cost. There must be a proper labeling of their food products.
They should make the label of their food preservatives or food that they are being preserved. They should make it clear enough for people to read, so that those consumers who want to buy these food items, they will have read it very well and understand it.
These preservatives, not all are good. Like I said earlier, we have the natural and the artificial preservatives. Natural preservatives are good for our health, but the artificial preservatives, too much consumption of these preservatives tend to cause harm. And in general, moderation is key. The adverse effect of these preservatives on our health: some of these chemical preservatives are carcinogenous, that is, they can cause cancer. They tend to increase the heart rate. In children, they tend to make them hyperactive because of the chemicals in them. And it also leads to asthma, allergic reactions of foods. But we as individuals, we should try and limit the amount of canned and processed foods that we consume.
Though preservatives are still necessary to ensure the safety and variety of different foodstuffs available, respondents call on consumers to limit the amount of canned and processed food being consumed.
And still to come in the news, INEC Chairman, Inspector General of Police meets stakeholders ahead of Edo governorship poll. More news and reports will come your way shortly after this break. Stay with us.
In 16 weeks, but I'm not a bag of goodies. Spell and be on me. Tricycles and motorcycles, them there. Spell and be on me. Fridge, television, I will for plenty. Spell and be on me. Make you know dollar my people, cause I will go. For you to win, to just buy any Dangote bag of cement with the rice bag of goodies too on top. Remove and scratch the scratch card where they inside, and you feel winning star prices like airtime. Dangote food packs make you keep the same scratch card for the spell to win star prize. Get all the cards to spell TANGOTE and be a millionaire. If you go collect your prizes from Dangote Depot, regional offices and selected wholesale outlets within your area. For other information, check newspaper and poster. This promo they start from July 15 to November 15, 2020. Dangote bag of goodies season 2. Spell and be a millionaire. This year go still better for you.
Welcome back. You're still watching Ogtv News. The people of Egbaland have been assured of the determination of the current administration in Ogun State to continue to collaborate with the Alake and paramount ruler of Egbaland, Oba Benin, to see to the progress and development of Egbaland. Ogun State Governor Prince Dapo Abiodun, represented by his Chief of Staff, Alhaji Shoaib Afolabi Salisu, gave this assurance while delivering the message of the governor at the 77th the Thanksgiving of the monarch at Ake Palace, Abeokuta. Matthew Shomi reports.
Alake and paramount ruler of Egbaland, Oba Benin, joined by government functionaries, Egba chiefs, sons and daughters of Egbaland, giving thanks to God as he clocked 77 years of age at a Christian service held at the palace. Chief of Staff to the Ogun State Governor, Alhaji Shuaib Afolabi Salisu, who led other illustrious sons of Egbaland in paying homage to Alake, delivered the message of the governor, saying Egba people with a very rich and ancient history is lucky to have such a monarch who is genuinely interested in the progress and development of the land. The Chief of Staff used the occasion to assure the Alake that the current administration in the state will continue to give preeminence to Abeokuta as the capital of Ogun State.
We are celebrating royalty at its finest. And we also celebrate somebody who is an unusual and admirable blend of royalty, of service to the nation. We're celebrating someone who has had a combination of so many things, all honorable, put into work.
Other illustrious sons and daughters who gathered to celebrate with the monarch describe him as a blessing to Egbaland.
There have been tremendous progress, whether you're talking about infrastructure in Egbaland during his time, whether you're talking about Egba sons and daughters making progress all over the world.
All his achievements so far, I only pray that God will continue to strengthen him, give him more grace.
We thank God that we are enjoying his reign. You can see the development has been coming up in Egbaland by the time of his reign.
They wish him more successful reign that will bring more progress and development to Egbaland.
He has been able to use his skill, to effect, progress in Egbaland.
Alake and paramount ruler of Egbaland, Oba Aremu Gbadebo, describes how he feels to see people celebrate with him at 77.
Well, as number 10, the 10th Alake, I'm the goal getter. And that's why God has brought so many things to Egbaland in my time. You ain't seen anything yet. God is going to bring even more, a lot more.
Gifts were presented to the monarch by different groups, associations, and individuals in Egbaland to commemorate the occasion. Matthew Shoumi, Ogtv News.
On the 14th of September 1943, Oba Michael Adedotun Aremu Gbadebo, the Alake and paramount ruler of Egbaland, was born in Abeokuta. In this special report, Shemilori Makonju presents an insight into the life of Oba Michael Adedotun Aremu Gbadebo Okano IV, one of the monarchs of high repute in Yoruba land as he attains the age of 77.
Of the powers conferred upon me by subsection 1 of section 20 of the Chief's Law, cap 20, and of all other powers enabling me on that behalf, do hereby declare that the appointment of Prince Adedotun Aremu Gbadebo,
Oba Michael Adedotun Aremu Gbadebo, the grandson of the 6th Alake of Egbaland, Oba Gbadebo, who ruled from 1898 to 1920, and nephew of Oba Gbadebo II, was born 14 September 1943.
Egwas have a great history that spans a number of centuries, but the most modern of this was when Lishabi liberated the Egwas from the Oyo Empire. That was about 1780.
Oba Gbadebo attended the prestigious Baptist Boys High School at Abeokuta and Ibadan Grammar School, then proceeded to the University of Ibadan in 1965, obtaining a Bachelor of Arts degree. He later joined the army in 1969 and attended the Command Staff College, Jaji, from September 1978 to August 1979.
Over the years, we have had to fight to remain one entity in Egbaland, and we have a proud history which we always share with those who are interested to know about our past. In Egbaland here, in Abeokuta in particular, there are many Agos, because we, by our very name Egba, we are always very receptive.
Even before ascending the throne of the unique Egba people in 2005, the former army colonel has influence across the nation, especially the military, where he served as principal staff officer to late Major General Tunde Ibiagbo, the then chief of staff at the Supreme Headquarters from January 1984 to September 1985.
Virtually all those who joined us here have the Agos, which is a temporary location they thought, and they have become very permanent. There's Agoegun, also in Egbaland here. So every year, we try to bring out the best in our culture to showcase to the world. And this we do through Lishabi Festival.
Oba Gbadebo is a prominent monarch in southwest Nigeria who persistently make moves to foster unity in Yoruba land. He is a quintessential monarch of high repute and a reference point in the traditional institution. Shemilori, Makonju, Ogtv News.
And this is wishing him happy birthday. The proposed industrial action by the Joint Health Staff Union has commenced in all the federal government health institutions across the country. A visit to the Federal Medical Center, Idiaba, Abeokuta, reveals that the union members have already done tools with the attendant impact on the health sector. Chairman of the union and the Federal Medical Center, Abeokuta, Comrade Olatunde Olatokun, while speaking with Ogtv News crew on the strike, says JHESO has explored all avenues for dialogue without any positive outcome and has now decided to call all its members out on strike.
Well, the same of things that it's no more a proposed action again. It has now come to reality, in which you can see everywhere there is a total compliance. We are following a national directive from Abuja that we should embark on 7 days morning strike today. And that is the situation we find us now. It is rather unfortunate that the government, the federal government and the Ministry of Health, coupled with the Ministry of Labour and Productivities, are so much insensitive to the yearnings of JHESO members. This issue has been ongoing since 2009. We have a series of issues that we are battling it.
Comrade Olatokun says the health sector cannot function effectively without the collaborative efforts of all stakeholders.
Of strike in their sector since 2008, where doctors embark on 3 strikes. They have embarked on 3 different strikes now, and salary are paid. But the question we're asking the Minister of Health is that where do we belong? Are we truly a part of this system? Is it truly the health services is a teamwork the way we should be? Because go to everywhere in advanced country, doctors cannot do it alone. The reason why our own is being exceptional, that is the reason why we are asking. It is long overdue, and that salary must be paid.
Called on the federal government to consider the plight of all key players in the health sector. The Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, and the Non-Academic Staff Union of Universities, NASU, blocked the main entrance of the Lagos State University over the non-payment of minimum wage. The free flow of vehicular movement was hindered by the protesting members who gathered as early as 7 in the morning and prevented both students and lecturers from gaining entrance. Those locked out of the school include the Vice-Chancellor of the university, Professor Olanrewaju Fagbon. All attempts by the Vice-Chancellor to dialogue with NLC, ASU and NASU members was not successful, as they insist that no one will be allowed into the university premises until their demands are met by the state government. They claimed that an increment in their salaries was promised by the Lagos state government more than a year ago, and the promise was yet to be fulfilled. And now to politics. Ahead of the September 19 governorship election, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has assured the electorate that their votes will count. INEC Chairman Professor Mahmoud Yakubu gave the assurance on Monday during the stakeholders meeting in Benin City, the state capital. According to Yakubu, it is only the choice made by the voters that will determine who the next governor of the state will be for another 4 years. He reassured that votes will count, and only the choice made by the people of Edo State will determine the outcome of the election. He noted that the Commission shall not take any action or to the advantage or disadvantage of any political party or candidate. The INEC's focus is on processes and procedures of conducting each free election, he said. The third new innovation introduced by the Independent National Electoral Commission to serve as a secondary means of achieving full biometric accreditation of voters using facial image will no longer be used for the Saturday Edo State governorship election. The Commission disclosed that the piece of technology which was deployed in the Nasarawa State by-election to test run its functionality at both hardware and software issue. INEC National Chairman Mahmoud Yakubu, when announcing the decision to drop the ZPAD, noted that the atmosphere in Edo State ahead of the election this weekend is already charged, adding that the Commission cannot afford to complicate it further by introducing a new technology it is not fully satisfied with. He said the uploading of polling unit level results in the election on Saturday will proceed as planned. Meanwhile, the Commission reassured the Edo State electorate that their votes will count in the emergence of the winner of the election. The Inspector General of Police, Muhammad Adamu, on Monday disclosed that no fewer than 31,000 personnel have been deployed for the governorship election in Edo State. Adamu disclosed this at a stakeholders meeting organized by the Independent National Electoral Commission in Benin ahead of the governorship election holding on September 19. He noted that the force was not unconscious of heightened tension and violence that had characterized political campaigns ahead of the election. He stressed that the police remain impartial, firm, and committed to the conduct of a free, fair, and credible election in the state. In Ondo State, the police command has said that the fire outbreak at the Akure office of the Independent National Electoral Commission was caused by faulty electrical connections. It said talks of saboteurs causing the fire were untrue. Over 5,000 card readers to be used for the October 10 governorship election were raised in the inferno. The card readers were kept in 2 containers inside the premises of INEC. Some political parties had called for a thorough investigation into the incident for the purpose of arresting the perpetrators. Ondo Police Commissioner Salami Bolaji, who spoke at a press briefing in Akure, said the Ondo Fire Service report on the incident has put to rest issues of saboteurs setting containers ablaze. Salami stated that any other findings will be made public. Away from politics, the number of incidents of violence against journalists covering protests across the world has risen sharply, with police and security forces the main culprits, the United Nations Cultural Agency said on Monday. UNESCO said it had counted 21 protests between January and June of this year where journalists were attacked, arrested, or killed. The organization, whose role includes monitoring media development, said in a report the spike came as part of a wide upward trend in the use of unlawful force by police and security forces over the last 5 years. According to UNESCO, which investigated protests in 65 countries for the report, at least 10 journalists were killed during protests between 2015 and mid-2020, when there were 125 instances of attacks on or arrest of reporters. The reporters who died on the job worked on Syria, Mexico, Israel, Nicaragua, Northern Ireland, Nigeria, and Iraq. Hundreds of journalists around the world trying to cover protests have been harassed, beaten, intimidated, arrested, put under surveillance, abducted, and had their equipment damaged, the report said, adding that a majority of the attacks have been carried out by police and security forces. The police use of non-lethal ammunition ranging from rubber bullets to pepper balls has injured dozens of journalists, with a few having been left blinded in one eye. The Nigerian Media Merit Award is requesting for entries from journalists for the 2020 Nigerian Media Merit Award. According to a statement by Dr. Arun Al-Rashid Adamu, Chairman, NMMA Board of Trustees, journalists and media organizations are expected to forward their best work published in 2019 to the Secretariat for screening following the guidelines of the entry submission. Suspected kidnappers have attacked 2 busloads of Federal Road Safety Corps officials at Wudagi Junction, Toto local government area of Nasarawa State early Monday morning, killing 2 officials and abducting 10 others. 4 others were injured during the attack, which occurred when the personnel were traveling from Sokoto and Kebbi states to a location in the southeast. The deceased and the injured officials have been evacuated to the Federal Medical Center, Kefi, Nasarawa State. The Public Education Officer, ACM BC Kazim, confirmed the incident, noting that 1 officer died during the attack, while the 2nd person died in a hospital, adding that the 10 missing operatives were believed to have been kidnapped. It disclosed that efforts were ongoing to rescue the abducted men. In a statement titled, "Gunmen Attack FRSC Staff at Wudage, Nasarawa," the spokesman said the Corps Marshal, Dr. Buboye Oyeyemi, has ordered that the incident should be immediately reported to relevant authorities for prompt rescue of the victims, while investigations into the incident have commenced. The air component of Operation Adirin Daji has decimated another armed bandits camp in the Dumboro Forest area of Zamfara State. The airstrike, which was executed on September 13, 2020, is part of a new subsidiary operation tagged Wooden Daji 2, also resulted in the killing of several armed bandits belonging to the gang led by the so-called Dangote. The target was designated for attack after human intelligence reports as well as a series of confirmatory aerial surveillance missions indicated the presence of the armed bandits, along with the presence, logistics, items, and rustled livestock had established a new camp at the southern edge of the forest. A statement by the coordinator, Defense Media Operations, Defense Headquarters, Major General John Aneche, has it that the air component therefore dispatched an enhanced force package of Nigerian Air Force fighter jets and helicopter gunships to attack the location. The attack aircraft engaged the target area, scoring accurate hits and taking out several of the bandits, while some of the structures were seen engulfed in flames. The statement adds that with the human intelligence, it was revealed that several of Dangote's followers were neutralized in the strike. Troops of Operation Sahel Sanity operating in the northwest has rescued 31 kidnapped victims and arrested 7 bandits and their collaborators. A statement by the acting coordinator, Defense Media Operations, Brigadier General Bernard Oyoko, indicates that the victims were rescued in different operations and locations. 14 out of the 31 kidnapped victims were commuters rescued along the Tsema-Yendemakin Road in Katsina State. Similarly, 1 person surrendered while 1 was killed during a gun battle. Brigadier General Oyoko notes that 70 members of Yonsaki on motorcycles were apprehended, while an illegal army dealer with special ammunition concealed in his vehicle was apprehended in Plateau State. The federal government on Monday inaugurated a ministerial committee on COVID-19 herbal remedies and natural compounds as it strives to find an indigenous cure for the coronavirus pandemic. Minister of Science and Technology Bonaya Onu, who inaugurated the committee at the headquarters of the Federal Ministry of Science and Technology, said there was an urgent need to develop a homegrown remedy and vaccine to tackle the virus. He said COVID-19 remains a threat to the health and well-being of Nigerians and the national economy, as noted that members of the committee include scientists and fellows of the Nigerian Academy of Science. The minister said the team would authenticate claims of cure and herbal remedy for COVID-19 being made by researchers, scientists, and traditional medical practitioners. The Executive Vice Chairman, Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian Communications Commission, Professor Umar Dambata, has disclosed that over 1,500 COVID-19 related calls were received and processed through the Commission's emergency communication centers. A statement by the Commission's Director, Public Affairs, Dr. Ikechukwu Adende, said that Dambata made the disclosure during the commissioning of ECC in Owerri, Imo State. According to Dambata, during the lockdown occasioned by the COVID-19 pandemic, the emergency communication centers played a remarkable role by providing a platform for members of the public to seek life-saving information and report COVID-19 related cases. It stated that the ECC project, equipped with necessary information technology and personnel, was a one-stop shop through which the public could access help from any response agency, while restating the Commission's commitment to operationalize the ECCs in all the 36 states of the Federation and the FCT. Dambata noted that 19 ECCs have been activated so far. Nigeria's revenue drops by 65%. This ends some business news shortly.